Okay, I think we are live. Hello, everybody. If you guys can hear us and see us okay, please type hello in the chat. Let us know where you're viewing this live stream from. I can see that we are live, so that's good.
Yes.
And amazing. Yeah, I think the chat is already a bomb even before we began. So thank you so much, you guys, for your enthusiasm. Okay, so I guess I won't keep you guys waiting. So, hello everybody. My name is Kathleen. I'm with Etchr Studio. I'll be your host for today's free live demo with the one and only Dan Archer. He's our one of our Etchr brand ambassadors, and he's got an amazing story and amazing techniques that he's going to be teaching us today. So, if you're excited, make sure to stick till the end so that you can learn a lot from Dan today and also get a chance to win our giveaway prize, which I will be telling in the chat. Before we begin, if you have any questions, feel free to let us know in the chat. So type them here. And for those who are with us right now live, you are eligible to win the giveaway later on. So the mechanics I'll explain later. And as for the materials that you'll be using, Dan will explain what you'll be needing today. But feel free to grab any sketchbooks you've got lying around, your pens, your watercolor paints. And I think that's pretty much it. I will be dropping relevant links as we go along. And if you have questions for Dan, of course, I'm going to throw them to Dan as he demonstrates. I think that's pretty much it for me. So without further ado, I'm going to hand the floor to Dan so that he can introduce himself, talk about what we're going to be doing today, and get us started. So Dan, it's all you.
Thank you so much, Kathleen. Hi, everyone. I am really excited about this and looking forward to hearing your questions and feedback. For me, drawing, the whole point of drawing is to connect with people. So I'm really honored to have this opportunity to do that virtually. The theme of today's little sketch session is going to be embracing the chaos. A lot of people that I've taught, including, working artists, always have a little bit of fear about how do you approach a sketch, especially if it's live. What about the pressure? What if you make a mistake? You will make mistakes, but the beauty of it is that you will sort of make it look deliberate. You will work with those brush strokes, those pen strokes, and you will turn it into a sort of authentic representation of the photo material that we'll be using. Obviously, normally I would be drawing this from life. These are all drawn in situ in various different corners of Hong Kong. This includes this chaotic market scene, for example, in Wan Chai. So I'm just going to be flicking through my sketchbooks as I talk. Obviously, a little harder to try and live stream. Being a sketch artist is enough of a one-man band type deal than having to do this on the street with a camera. So that's the only reason why we're drawing from photo reference. This was last week's live sketcher. In fact, these two handsome artists are both other Etchr brand ambassadors, Pedro and Hugo. So what we'll be doing today is we'll be drawing straight in ink. That's usually how I do my sketches. I started off actually as a cartoonist. Shout out to the Centre for Cartoon Studies, where I got my MFA in cartooning way back when. And as a cartoonist, you typically always do a pencil underline drawing and then go to work in ink over the top. This is actually a giant double-page spread, sort of panorama, done over the course of, I think, a couple of hours, maybe an hour and a half. Yeah, like I said, sometimes it can feel a bit daunting to work straight in ink. But remember, the whole point, we're not going for, or at least I don't go for verisimilitude, huge realism and high fidelity. It's much more about capturing kind of a feeling. And for me, one of the differences that I've noticed with the other artists that are on the Etchr board is that I tend to, from my comics training and being a graphic journalist, I focus very heavily on what's being said. So often, as you saw in some of the previous sketchbooks, as well as some of here, I try and pick up the Cantonese, for example, in this market sketch. I believe that drawing offers this unique window into an artist's mind and into a scene. And, that includes the sounds, the sights and sounds. It's not just the visual. So, oh, one last thing I should do before we get to I'll be drawing in the Perfect Sketchbook, which is here in its glorious leather cover, is I just wanted to give a little shout out about my graphic novel. So 2 days ago was the UN Global Day Against Human Trafficking. I converted a lot of my techniques and live sketch reportage and graphic journalism into a mammoth 250-page graphic novel set in Nepal, and it goes into what human trafficking is, how NGOs are fighting it on the ground. And for me, the reason I use this form is because here you can see these drawings. They were done at a brick kiln just outside Kathmandu, a place called Bhaktapur. Sometimes I often find it's very hard to bring a camera into these situations. And much like the courts, courts of justice, you can't bring a camera in, but you can live sketch. So by sketching people as I interview them, you can protect their anonymity. You also, I think they feel much less threatened by you. And it creates a much more a stronger, more intimate connection. And then typically what I'll do is I'll work those sketches up. Sometimes, obviously, I'll include them directly. Other times, I will turn them into more polished, finished comics. So without further ado, what we're going to do is we're actually going to start drawing. So as they say in those terrible satellite TV cooking shows, here's one I made earlier. We're going to go for a similar approach. So you might notice the subtle influence of comics here. I like to break things down into panels because for me, life is this series of vignettes and snapshots. And sometimes the beauty of comics is that we can insert our agency in the gutters, as it were, in the gaps between those moments, to create something that, on their own in isolation, you wouldn't usually have. So this was just scenes around Hong Kong. I believe Anya or Kathleen has shared with you some of the photo references that these were based on, a recent thunderstorm that swept through the town. And here you can see playing around with different formats and panel layouts. So what we're going to do is I'm going to try and sketch from scratch, and then we're going to watercolor it. So there might be a prize for seeing which one I'm going to sketch. I'm just using, so before I start, I use a Feud, I think it's called Feud nib, because with a bend at the bottom, you get a lot more line variation for your buck. I would obviously love using a crow quill dip pen, but obviously that's not quite so feasible when you're standing up holding your sketchbook. Then I use another fountain pen. This is the Carbon Pen fountain pen for more detailed line work. Then Old Faithful is this Pentel brush pen, which again works on cartridges, so it's basically like a paintbrush. And then I tend to do my colors with a water reservoir pen, and I'll just pick it into shot. Maybe you can see it off the side there. A gnarly looking portable travel palette. So no pencils, as I previously mentioned. So without further ado, I do hope you're going to draw along with me. Kathleen, feel free to throw out questions as we do it. So what I typically start with is I'm going to start with, now I really do feel like I'm on a cooking show. We start with someone in the foreground, like the main sort of center of interest. And so I'll throw in sort of the rough shapes. And I tend to
Dan,
work
would it
with,
be possible?
yeah.
Sorry, would it be
Yeah.
possible to get it a little wee bit closer, just a wee bit closer?
Sure, sure. I'll use my dainty fingers to try and zoom in.
Thank you. It's just that it focuses on the hand earlier, which is not a bad thing. It's
Oh,
just
I
that
see.
we wanted to
Okay, tell
see
you what,
your detail.
just so I don't show my crotch to your viewers, I'm going to stop this video and then let's see.
Meanwhile, while Dan is adjusting the best angle for the camera, sketchbooks are amazing. You guys have been chatting right here. We've got a couple of questions for you related to materials, Dan, but I'm going to hold that for a while you talk about what you're doing for me.
Great. Does that look a little better?
Yes, absolutely. 10 times better.
Okay, excellent. Is
I
it a little, it's still, Maybe should I lock the focus, or hopefully it should be all right.
This is okay. I'm dropping
Okay.
also the reference photo, which Dan has kindly sent to us. Um, so Dan, while you're doing this, can you talk about the materials that you commonly use apart from the three things that you've mentioned earlier, the feud nib, carbon pen, the brush pen? Are these the common ones? Because I've got questions about using colored highlighters, acrylic paint, those kinds of
Well,
medium.
it's
So
funny you should say
let us
that,
know.
actually. Here's another one I made earlier. So, yeah, this is my other, oh, sorry, this is very, it's very zoomed in.
Okay.
This is other sketchbooks. So, yeah, in my other sketchbooks, I do just use the brush pen and then use markers for like value. I try and do, like value studies, for example, gratuitous selfies. What a narcissist. That's actually a friend of mine, Axel. And so yeah, so I sketchbooks. Oh, so one of my favorite things to do as well is to do value studies on the plane whilst watching films. So, your sketchbook will just fit on the tray table, and these are from
Yeah.
recent films I watched. And so, yeah, feel free to use markers. I mean, I will say a lot of people get very hung up on what to use, and which specific brand, and all the rest of it. I mean, I will say Etchr, not obviously that I'm paid to say this, make these incredible sketchbooks that are so forgiving. That's the real beauty of them, is that I really prefer using cold press because it's not quite so grainy. This is super grainy, but it actually lends a really nice texture that I wouldn't usually use, but it gives a bit more personality. I think for me, you want to avoid like what might be known as like an insecure sort of like chicken scratch sort of line. Like you want to make decisions that like I say, always look deliberate, and that have a sort of confidence, and it doesn't matter if they're right or wrong. It's sort of that's how they turn out is kind of the imperfection of perfection, or the perfection of imperfection rather. So you can see I'm just gonna uh, as I ramble, I'm just going through. So yeah, I mean, obviously, normally I would teach my students, oh, we all draw differently, right? And I'm pretty sure that when I've seen people like Hugo or others draw, they'll do amazing perspective setups and whatnot. But for me, I often find when I'm drawing, I have a very limited amount of time to make these drawings before people need to move, or a great exercise you can do is draw people on transport. Whether it's the MTR here in Hong Kong or the Tube in London, or wherever, just getting used. It's almost like your personal life sketch setup. So that can be just great training. So what you can see I'm doing is I've established the foreground figure, and now I'm just going to go through and use the relationships. So amazingly, you see, we've got all these crates that the guy is standing in front of, right? So what
Yeah.
we can do is we can draw them down like that. And then we know that from perspective, because we're slightly above eye level, that these are going to shift the what do you call it? The perspective line, our vanishing line would invisibly go here, but we're not going to Yola Hugo it. We're going to eyeball it. And that's kind of the beauty of it. I think in a way, it's just like a muscle and a confidence that you will train. And so don't be scared of, oh, if it doesn't quite line up or it doesn't quite work out, that's fine. It forces you to think on your feet. I really like the sort of the improvisational nature of this. Um, and it's very much like leaving yourself a bit open to the universe, if you want to get philosophical about it. So, right, so we can see we've got lines here. This pulls up, bit of a wonky line there. This is perhaps a little bit too high, but that's fine. We'll forgive ourselves. Oh, sorry, I don't want to come off the thing.
Not a
Any more
problem.
questions, Kathleen? Yeah.
Yeah, just a curious question, not about the materials you're using or the techniques you're doing, but Jim's asking, is there a Michigan urban sketching group?
You know what? I am almost positive there will be several, Jim. Urban sketches are everywhere. It's amazing, the community, the sense of community. I think it's literally just a Facebook search away,
Yeah.
or any other social. But yeah, that is really it's one of the most incredible things for me is seeing how supportive and welcoming the sketching community is. So you can see here, for example, right? This line is obviously a little too close to the picture reference. So all I did is I just made it the other line. You see, like that. And so that way you can sort of hide the fact that I got a little bit flamboyant as I was asking Jim. I was talking to Jim. So now I'm going to pull this down. Again, we can see this goes onto the head. So, this is kind of helping, right? Because the perspective is single point and it is with the shop shutter and these signs, it is really helping us to frame stuff. I realized that we're running out of time, so I'm actually going to speed up. And obviously, as I
Oh,
speed up, I might make more mistakes, but hey, we'll forgive ourselves.
just like the real thing.
Yes,
When you're,
exactly.
yeah. So, for the newcomers, just to kind of clarify what we're doing right now. So, Dan is showing you parts or chunks of his processes, and then later on, we're going to be showing you some pre-made sketches so that Dan can demonstrate a lot of these steps into some of his works and how he can apply it so that you guys can see it, and then you can do it later on since you've got the references. So, yeah.
Thanks. So yeah, so what you can see now is to reflect the sense of distance, I'll switch to a slightly thinner nib and with a finer line, that sort of suggests to the eyes that it's further away. So it's almost like a camera angle, because really we're all just frustrated directors without the budget to corral a film crew into doing whatever we want. So, or at least I'm speaking from personal experience here. So you can see also the beauty of comics. There's an amazing book called Understanding Comics by Scott McCloud, and he talks about the simplicity of comics actually being the key to its beauty, in that the less realistic a drawing is, the more simplified, the easier it is for readers to insert themselves, to project themselves into it. The more details you put up, the more the greater the contrast it might feel like, well, with their lived experience. And so, like I said, the focus here is connection. So so that can, that's a good way to see it, I guess. Right, so you can see. So you can see that is a little, so
Thanks. I noticed how you kind of what do you call this? Intentionally make the lines thinner as you go towards the back.
yeah,
Is that like a conscious thing that you've been doing to kind of emphasize perspective or
yeah, exactly. That's 100%. It's just one of the many sort of shortcuts. It's all about, I think, giving cues to the reader, and that's sort of the visual language of comics that's kind of seeping through. And so yeah, you can see that's the background, and then meanwhile, because we've got someone in a similar frame, sorry, depth, I'm gonna throw in again quite confidently, quote unquote, the umbrella.
so mhm.
And so
Somebody
here,
mentioned that
oh, sorry, go ahead.
sorry. Somebody mentioned switching the nibs was a great tip, so thank you so much for that.
You're so welcome. Yeah, like I said, we all prefer to work in different ways. I've seen amazing. When I first started out, actually, I was a fine liner guy, and I would draw so much in like minus, 0.005 and be cross hatching whatever. But it's just it's very meticulous, and you create beautiful work, but sometimes you just haven't got the time. And so I come to I'm really influenced by the master comics artists like Toth and Milton Caniff and Brechia and Hugo Pratt and these people who would just like Milton Caniff, yeah, who would sling um, ink around, Jack Kirby, and so that's what I'm trying to who I'm trying to emulate, I guess, in or Will Eisner, obviously the sine qua non of comics.
Oh, you've got a wonderful concern right here in the chat. Not really a concern, but a lovely, enthusiastic participant. She's saying that she's drawing along and drawing directly with ink, and she's
Awesome.
made plenty of mistakes, and needs
Great.
more practice. Any advice?
Um, don't just keep going. It really is. It's like I think the way you've got to see it is it's a race, and I mean, obviously that can make certain people feel a bit pressured, but it's you've just got to keep going. It's more like a performance, I guess. So if you're in the middle of a guitar solo, don't just stop if you hit a wrong note. Noodle around and try to make it seem a bit more deliberate, and it will come good. Just have faith, trust the process. No, this sounds like I'm giving everyone group therapy, but it's that's really what has worked for me. So another thing that I can say is once I've fleshed in some of the lines, I'll go in with the brush pen and I'll throw in in cartooning it's called spotting the blacks. And by doing this, you draw the viewer's eyes to particular parts of the sketch even before you put color in, and it can just be a good way of um, breaking up the scene and also just adding a bit of variety. So here I'm just going to there we go with the feet. Uh, and the other thing about it is we get this lovely texture with this very thickly grained Perfect Sketchbook. So that can again add a lot of personality. You can see how instantly that makes this pop, right? Um, so, I'm going to come back in and then I'm going to add the other protagonist, which is a brush. I'm
Amazing, how
trying to,
Dan.
the other thing is I'm trying to use, trying to vary the tip of the brush so that it doesn't go too thick. That can be the other. It's
Right.
obviously it's a bit like a haircut. It's easier to work thin and build up than it is to work thick and not. You don't want them to take everything off and then you're stuffed.
Right. Good point. Dan, can we move it a little upwards? Just a
Yes,
wee
of
bit.
course. Sorry.
There we go. Amazing. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you for monitoring it. Right, and so you can see here, this is another perfect example. So right, so here you see obviously the depths are a little off. So I could, if I wanted to try and, I mean, it's not critical, but I could insert one more like that to just bring the levels, and
Mm,
then I'm
yeah.
just going to add a bit more shadow here. So that way this shadow does hit that, you see? And in a way, you just have to remember that you are the director, right? So to the lovely lady who was like saying, "Oh, I'm drawing in ink, but I've made some mistakes." Like the viewer doesn't know that, right? Because they're not standing alongside you. Although often
Absolutely.
that is the beauty of live sketching. Occasionally you will get the
Yeah.
equivalent of those slightly older gentlemen with their hands behind their backs at a construction site, nodding or sort of shaking their head disapprovingly at the construction workers. You will sometimes get people like that when you're live sketching, but it's rare. So now I'm going to throw this open. In fact, I was going to do it in the other pen, but I'm going to be confident. I'm going to take my own advice. Oops.
So, Dan, I can see that you've got a lot of influence from cartooning, like lots of concept that you've applied to your current art style. Would you recommend for a beginner who'd like to, go in the same direction to study or kind of get a background in cartooning or not necessarily?
It's different strokes for different folks, quite literally. I would say draw what appeals to you, like the best thing you can do is just be open to influences and go to galleries, obviously socials, Instagram, etc. is great if you don't get sucked down the doom scroll hole. But that can be a great way of just seeing what other people are making, and then just do reference sketches. I mean, I think the biggest piece of advice that I would give to people is to always be drawing. Like take a sketchbook with you, and when you're out and about, don't reach for your phone every 10 seconds to see another email that you're not going to reply to for another 2 hours. Just do a quick sketch, and it's just muscle memory. Eventually, you will that will be sort of like your default, and you'll start doing that. And the more how can I say this? The more normal and intuitive it feels to do that, the easier it will get.
Gotcha. And Dan, I think we can't see the top part already. I'm so
Oh,
sorry you
sorry.
have
Yeah,
everyone.
thank you.
No, not a problem. Uh, practice makes progress, says Angel in the chat. Hi, Angel. She's also
Exactly.
done a live demo with us before. Yeah, so you definitely guys can do this along. Dana's been doing this in what, like 30 minutes already, and she was able to accomplish such an amazing piece already. You guys can definitely have, do this, and you've got no excuse. So, yeah.
Ha, no pressure. So yeah, the beauty of this, you see, the reason I chose this is so that um, I could also try to, uh, as I mentioned, frame this with the perspective. So, and then I'm going to go back to this. So we're going to start coloring this pretty shortly.
Amazing. We're curious about your watercolors, or the materials you're going to use rather to color it in. But so if you guys have any questions for Dan with relation to colored materials, his palette, minimal palette, we've got lots of questions about that, especially for people who do it on the spot. Yeah, so
Yeah, I
that's something that
definitely it kind of depends again what how much time I've got. As I showed you earlier, I can show you some examples when I've just deliberately gone for spot tone. I would say that's probably my sweet spot, just because I know it works quickly, and it's more a question of values. Whereas obviously if you are doing full color, like some of the gorgeous urban sketchers who I've worked alongside, then it's a different proposition, really. So I'm going to try and throw in some different colors tonight. Let's see. I'm
um
aware, again, time is kind of against us, but
do you often experience the same kind of dilemma where time is a limit when you're painting outside? Um,
yeah, absolutely. Not both on and off the sketchbook, time is the limit. I mean, it's like to be honest, sometimes it's almost like when is the drawing done, and you can always be noodling away and there's always more details, and often it's quite a good exercise. So like what you can see here in the background, I think it sort of goes back to what I was saying earlier, where it's great to let the viewer's eye do more of the work. And you don't have to spell everything out to them, you know what I mean?
love
So like
that.
here I'm putting in the darkened bit of cross-hatching here.
Somebody's telling in the chat that they'll be following you now and would love to become more proficient with their sketching.
Ah, great. Well, yeah, I should say, please do follow me on Arch Comics with an X on Instagram, and I've got newsletters and Patreon and all that malarkey. But yeah, I really do try for me, it's all about connection. It's all about that's why I draw. It's to try and tell these stories of different, often focused on human rights, but to use comics and visual storytelling to do that because sometimes, we in the fire hose of the regular news cycle, we get caught up in all the tweets and all the whatnot, and I find that drawing can kind of cut through that. And I think comics have had a really bad rep throughout history for, oh, it's superheroes or it's Marvel or it's this or it's that. And it's just like the cave paintings of Lascaux. It's just one medium amongst others, and we're not suited to one genre to do it. I take my inspiration from like the adventurers and expedition leaders who would from years ago who would sketch because there weren't cameras around. And that's why I love when you go to these places, often throwing your often occidentalized lens at some sort of stranger can be quite a alienating thing. But if you sit and you get your sketchbook out, people respond in a completely different way, and it's obvious. It's honestly usually a lot more positive, and they're curious, and it just starts a conversation. And really, what more could you ask for when you go abroad than to have a conversation and to try and relate to people?
Yeah, that's a lovely story. And I love how you're using art to kind of convey a seemingly um not really that sensitive, but something that a topic that's not often talked about. And it make it relatable and easily accessible to for conversation, like you've mentioned. So
Thank you. Yeah, I mean that for me is the whole point of it. It's a dialogue, and it's quite it really speaks to something whether you grew up reading comics as a kid um or not. It's like a visual language that we can usually intuitively pretty much understand. And another thing about it is that comics often I've done plenty of wordless pieces, and obviously all these sketches are wordless. Although not always, but and so again, it's just another sort of barrier to entry that you're kind of removing. Sorry, I know I'm going off again. So yeah, I'm going to start. I know I keep promising I'm going to start drawing this. This is the other. Here we go. There's some rain splattering. As I said to Kathleen earlier, drawing rain is perhaps not the easiest challenge we've set ourselves, but don't worry, I've got every confidence.
that's like a something that we can learn from. Quick flicks and suggestive marks. It's
Yeah,
really
exactly.
interesting how you do it.
And then here I'm just going to carve the shadow in a bit. Mobius is another Jean Giraud, the French, the late great French illustrator. He's another great artist. Joe Sacco, he's seen as largely the godfather of comics journalism, and he's someone you should all check out if you don't know about him already. So again, so now that we've got a bit more, you see, this is great because I can, if I don't fudge this up, and this is, so things like this can be slightly stressful when you're pulling a big line like that down. But again, don't sweat it, like it all just adds to the personality of it. Try and avoid converging lines because those can be distracting. Um, but one of the real things that I love about drawing Hong Kong or drawing street scenes is that whilst there might be straight lines, there's a lot of chaos, and so you can hide a lot of mistakes in there quite easily. So here there's like something in the foreground.
Quick question. I think you've brought this up earlier, but I wanted to verify.
Yeah.
What kind of ink do you use with your pens? I'm pretty sure it's a waterproof ink so that
Yes,
it
yes.
doesn't
Oh
get
my
washed
God.
out later.
Please. It's almost like, yeah, you have to do the test ahead of time to make sure that it's water because there would just be a disaster if it wasn't. Yeah, yeah, waterproof all the way. So here, for
Mhm.
example, one thing that you might do that's quite helpful is you've got your imaginary vanishing point, right, which is sort of around here, broadly speaking. So give yourself a little guide here and give yourself another little guide like here, and then, and maybe a last one sort of there, and then just work up to it, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
And again, I'm not overthinking it, I'm just getting in there.
Yeah,
So and in a way, it'll have a lot more life as a result, like the gaps in it or the reason they're not perfectly ruled. It's just, I don't know, it's a style that speaks to me. Um,
absolutely.
Life is too short to use a ruler, if you'll excuse the irony.
We're gonna put that in a t-shirt. Life is too short.
Exactly, as long as there are no straight lines on it. Okay, so I guess now would be a good time for us to. This is like one of those moments where I'm like, okay, I should probably start drawing, but I mean, start, what do you call it, watercoloring. Uh,
Painting, yeah.
yeah. Mm, mm, mm.
I love how you mentioned you're not overthinking it. It actually kind of um, addresses one of the concerns here in the chat. They've mentioned that they're indecisive and struggle to capture a moment before it changes too much.
Yeah.
So that's very reassuring to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, it's the irony, really, but I can't remember. There's some sort of Aesop's fable about a millipede who's a great dancer, and then one day another
Mhm.
creature asks it how he does it so well, and he says, "I just don't think about it." And then as soon as he thinks about it, he falls over. And so, obviously,
Yeah.
you can take that with a pinch of salt, as I'm talking to you constantly about what I'm doing, which kind of breaks the rule. But it is very much like that. Like you should be aiming for this sort of flow state where you listen to your music, or if you're drawing from reference, obviously it's harder when you're in IRL, but like it should be an enjoyable thing that you kind of get lost in, and each line is a problem that you're trying to solve. Where does that connect to? How does that go over there? How does that bring that to what? And you're making all these calls. Like if you were to unpack this, you're like a supercomputer that's processing a million decisions all at once. But that's kind of the beauty of it, like you don't have to worry about your mortgage or your gas bill or whatever. You're just worrying about where the next line goes and how to make sense of it. Comics is live sketching is a refuge, I should call that. So okay, I'm just trying to finish this up here, and then you can see that this sign connects to that. You see here, I kind of bodged that, but what we're going to do is I'm going to fold that in to the lettering that is to a weird angle to be able to read, but
Mm,
still kind of makes sense. So it doesn't, all I'm trying to
Dan,
do
can
is,
we?
oh, sorry, thank
Sorry.
you.
Yep.
All
There
I'm
we go.
trying to do is like, again, make it look deliberate. It's like sleight of hand, if you want to call it that. So, okay, now I'm going to do some watercolor.
Awesome. Amazing. Could you let us know what your palettes are and what colors you're going to be getting as you know, put them in your piece, so that we
Yeah.
can also follow along. That's a cute travel palette.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, I tend to use this. It's great because it's got a little thing on the back so that I can hold it without it
Yeah.
slipping off. Um, and as I said, I use a reservoir pen because honestly, it can be quite hard to be mixing and juggling a water reservoir. Although I will say the Etchr slate satchel has really saved me because it's
Yeah.
basically like a portable rest. That has been super, super helpful recently. So now I'm just going to go in and block in um, the main shapes, obviously try and do a bit of value.
Amazing. And that was a sorry, what color?
This is like a slightly light blue, but
Mhm.
the beauty again of using a pretty weathered
Color.
palette is that it gives you like, yeah, a slightly
I'm
grittier.
thinking.
I'm not one to use like amazing, gloriously new, virginal, type things.
Right.
It's sort of I like the mess.
Love that. I love that you mentioned that because sometimes people get too hooked up with what colors you're using. You know.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's very much like, like way back in the day, we all used to, we would have exams, right? And you'd always have people who
Mm,
would be like, oh, and I need a highlighter and I need the right pen and I need a folder,
mm.
whatever. And it's just aversive behavior. It's just like you're just procrastinating because you don't want to get down to the unfortunate part of doing it. And so, yeah, it's just do it. I think sometimes the best thing you can do, aside from having a sketchbook with you, is um, aim to pay your art debt, as it were, on a daily basis. And what that means is give yourself an amount of time, be it, an hour or what have you, a day, and just say that that's how long you're gonna draw for each day. And it doesn't matter what you make, it's just about putting the time in. And so you'll get less and less hung up about what you're making and just cutting straight to the chase, as it were.
Thank you. And if I may add to that, I wanted to highlight what you've mentioned because one of the Etchr brand ambassadors also mentioned this before. I'm trying to remember who, I'm so sorry, but she mentioned that sometimes we feel like we do not deserve the materials that we have, and we get caught up with that idea. But
Yeah.
once we liberate ourselves from that thought, then we just enjoy the process, and I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's another great cartoonist called Linda Barry. You should
Mhm.
also look her up. She usually draws on like yellow legal paper from the States, like really cheap. And occasionally she'll just draw an X through her page before she even gets started so that she knows she's already made a mistake. And that's kind of how you need to see it. It's like, don't be precious. The other thing I'll say as well is it does help to hold yourself accountable if you do have, a social or an Instagram or a website or somewhere so where people can see your work because a bit like going to the gym or whatever, we tend to our natural default state, I think, errs towards homeostasis or our comfort zone. And so often you'll find if you don't force yourself to do it, you'll end up drawing the thing that you're most comfortable drawing, and you'll get very good at that, but the rest of your style might suffer. So, it's all the more time you spend out of your own comfort zone, the faster you'll improve. And it's obviously up to you to see how fast you're willing to travel, I guess.
Mhm. A lot of agreeing in the chat. Should be my
Great.
motto. Just do it. Right.
Exactly. Yeah, Phil Knight was onto something.
So happy that it resonates with most of you guys. I love the idea of Dan just quickly swishing around right here. It kind of like mimics how probably you've been gonna be doing it then on the spot.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
exactly. Yeah, like
that's
yeah,
awesome.
exactly. Don't be afraid to make a mistake. It's much better to make an honest mistake than it is to like, what they always say in those clickbait articles of people on their deathbeds and whatever. They always regret what they didn't do. They rarely regret what they did, but did badly or whatever. So just get in there and you'll figure it out. If something doesn't work out immediately, give yourself the time and credit to know that you will sort it. So you've got quite a nice I do struggle sometimes to draw fluorescent, like bright colors, but we're just going to go with a slightly greeny umbrella here.
Love that.
So I'm doing, as you
I
can
love
see,
how
I'm doing like a baseline. And then I'll add
oh,
when I have more I'm gonna go look. You can see this is also the fun part, right? One thing
Mm,
I've learned with watercolors is like don't be afraid to whack a huge amount on if your paper can take it, as the Etchr sketchbooks can, because they're like, you know, beach towels in the industry. It's amazing, and so that will give you the ability to really add some grain and add some detail, and then from there, you see, you can just touch a bit and it will emulate some of that watery. The beauty is we're trying to create a waterlogged scene, so it works quite nicely.
amazing. So while Dan is building his wonderful washes, I'd just like to remind everybody that if you are here watching this live, then you are eligible to win the perfect sketchbook of your choice. I'm going to be explaining the mechanics later, but just to make sure, all you have to do is to stay here and stick with us till the end. That's really exciting. Dan is using the perfect sketchbook at the moment, and if you'd like to have one of yours, then I wish you all luck so that you can have a sketchbook of your own. So it's really
So,
exciting.
thank you for that. And that is an amazing sketchbook, I will say. It is amazingly forgiving, which is kind of what you need when you're working this quickly. Um, the other thing I'll say, I'm not sure if you just caught that, but I did. So if you're playing around with this much water, then sometimes, the levee will break and it will bleed into the next. Like here, you saw the blue almost infiltrated the green. So what you can then do is you just wipe your brush clean so it's dry, and then just basically hoover up that liquid, and hopefully the waters will the water gods will look at you generously and grant you a bit of a reprieve.
I was just saying in the chat that if you guys are looking for a wonderful community where you can share your work, it's a safe space. We've got a safe space in the Facebook. It's a private Facebook group. It's a safe space where regardless where you are in your art journey, if you're a beginner, an advanced learner, intermediate learner, it's a safe space where you can share your works, ask feedback if you would love to. Um, and yeah, I'm typing it in the chat as we go. So if you're interested to join us there. But if you're already confident to share your works and share it with the whole wide world, then feel free to tag Dan when you post your works. I'm going to be dropping again his Instagram link here. So
Thank you very much, Kathleen. Yeah, like I said, it can be very easy to, I'm just going to use the yellow here to pull out our stranger protagonist in the foreground. It can be very easy to get sucked into the doom scroll K-hole of oh, this artist looks amazing, they've got 1 million followers and I've only got X and da da da. Like, um down the way of comparison, only madness lies, trust me. So just do your own thing, do what makes you happy, like draw the things that make you happy, seek out the artists that you like the look of, the work obviously, and uh and just like I say, have faith. I think it's there's kind of such an onus these days on, oh, if unless you've accomplished X or whatever, then you haven't made it or whatever. But it's like we're all on our own journeys, and this is just how I see the world. You might want to do it completely differently, and that's kind of the beauty of it. No one wants uniformity or homogeneity. I think the beauty of everything is in our differences, and how we sort of collaborate regardless. So now I'm, with the time almost on us, I'm kind of squinting my eyes and trying to do like value calls, so that I can get more of the shadows in and cry. So, one of the challenges can be how to avoid this looking flat. Oh, here's another thing. Right, you can see just here, this line overran. So the other thing you can do is you can get your brush wet and then basically try and water down any mistakes until the point that they disappear. Obviously, if you want to go like nuclear, you can always just use the old whiteout. That's also what I use. But that should be obviously last resort for highlights because you can't really come back from that. Nor can you watercolor over the top. So da, 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 da. So I'm just one thing I should also mention is another great urban sketcher, Oliver Huller, always talked about the punch in a sketch. And what he was taught in his workshop last year at Urban Sketches, Buenos Aires. And I should say, bienvenidos all the hispanohablantes ahí. So what he was talking about is the contrast, right? And so you can have you want to avoid stuff looking flat and you want to try and guide the viewer's eye towards focal points. And you can do that with like bursts of color or darkness. So you can see here, for example, I had this tree from earlier. Now I'm just going to go back. And the beauty again of this brush pen is that I can add texture by not, if I just brush the end of it, it's not full black, but it's enough to suggest it. So now I'm just going to put a few more bits in here and there to, again, create that sense.
Love how it's all coming together.
We try.
Yeah. Hey. Um, so while Dan is adding some finishing touches, I believe,
Yep.
I will just explain the mechanics for the giveaway since you guys are excited to win a sketchbook, not just any sketchbook, it's the perfect sketchbook of your choice,
Exactly.
of your size. So that's really amazing. Just to clarify, the perfect sketchbook is the one with the gray colored, the leather colored, like what Dan is using. And we've got sizes for that, the A5 and the A4 size. So yeah, really interesting how you'd get a chance to win one of those. All right, so the mechanics for the giveaway, all you have to do is when I type the word in the chat, go, you'll be guessing the number that I wrote in this piece of paper. I'm going to show you later. And then I'll be giving you 15 seconds to guess the number. And then we'll only have one winner. And so if somebody gets the winner, number, sorry, if somebody gets the number exactly, then the first one who gets it will be the winner. If nobody gets it, the first one who gets the closest number to what I've written down will be the winner. And once the 15 seconds are over, I'm going to type the word stop. So all the entries between go and stop will be the only ones that are accepted. So really interesting. Somebody said amazing in just an hour and talking the whole time. Dan has some serious skills.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Just practice.
Sketches. Sorry.
Oh no. I was just saying it's just practice. Like, yeah. It's really just the Malcolm Gladwell style, 10,000 hours or whatever you want to call it.
Thank you. And just to insert, the artists have been mentioning earlier, which I quoted, one of the Etchr brand ambassadors is actually here. So she's Sketches. Hello, Sketches. Thank you for dropping by. Yeah. Which number range? Okay. Amazing.
Yeah, it's funny to see it on the screen and compared to what I'm seeing on the pad.
Yeah, definitely. There's gonna be like a bit of a huge difference with
Yeah,
the
yeah.
camera that we're using.
Mm. Yeah, some
Is there a
eyes.
number range? Yes, there will be a number range. I will tell you later. So yeah. Love this style, says Chloe. I would have procrastinated forever before taking on this drawing, but I've enjoyed speedily drawing along. Love
Excellent.
that.
Glad to hear it. Thank you. Yeah, try it, this weekend. Take it to somewhere and just give yourself a little time limit. Um, and I'm sure you'll be pleasantly surprised, honestly.
Amazing. Okay. Right. Mm. Let us know if you guys have any questions for Dan for our Q&A later on. We can actually do that now if you've got any questions.
Yeah,
I think we can give Dan probably just a few more minutes so that we can start with the giveaway and also with the questions. Let us
yeah.
know. Not not putting pressure on Dan, but
No pressure at all.
I love how you're kind of like setting your mind that there's a thumbnail going on. It's not a perfect square or rectangle, but
Yeah.
you still got like the outline. Yeah.
Yeah, depending on my mood, I'll force myself into a rigid box or not. But yeah,
Mm,
I feel like this was a bit more free flow. So yeah.
that's true. Love this.
Mhm.
Um, we don't have any questions at the moment, but I do have. If you
Okay.
are to add some dialogues or bubbles, just like how you've shown us in your previous sketchbooks, what are some dialogues or things that you would like to add that you think is, worth adding in your sketches?
Oh, well, that's a great point. So, usually it's reflective of the scene around me. So, obviously, I it's always a bonus when you can actually speak the language that people are speaking. Unfortunately, whilst I'm learning Mandarin, I don't speak Cantonese. So when I'm sketching in Hong Kong, it's quite hard to, I usually, like much like in one of the earlier ones I showed you, um, I will write, well, excuse me, phonetically, or in fact, oh, sorry, I forgot. I'll do it this way. So you can see here, I actually tried to capture some of the bird song. Like
Love
Hong
that.
Kong is so wild. So just anything that you can hear, like this was someone over in the background, but here it was like the animals were doing a karaoke session. So, or like here, these are more like, people saying hiya, 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 someone agreeing, other people saying Hawaii, die, die, die. There's a child that was screaming mama up from a window. And then this is more like the interview sketch style that I'll do, where I'll draw someone and then draw in speech balloons around them. This is one of the many lovely old ladies around Hong Kong who actually collect cardboard to sell back to the city to make a little bit of scratch. So yeah,
Yeah.
and
Thank you so much.
I don't think she would have spoken to me had she not come up to me out of curiosity to begin with and been like, "What are you doing?" So
Love that. Okay. So, Dan, I hate to break this to you, but we are in our hour mark.
okay,
But we just actually proved to everybody that the good thing about that is you guys can do this in an hour, less than an hour. You can do this in your break, wherever. Dan was able to do it now. You can do it
exactly.
anywhere. And that's the point of doing these live demos for you to kind of push yourself to get inspired, to really make art anytime. And you deserve the art materials that you have. Yeah. So amazing how Dan was able to show us that today.
Thank you. Yeah,
So I'm just
enjoy the process. That's kind of the point of it, is it's not just the amazing recording a guitarist makes, it's the actual practice itself. So these are some of the other sketches that I was playing around with. These are the little vignettes from that same downpour. And then this is another couple of finished scenes that I did in the good old
mhm.
Perfect Sketchbook. Um, Again, you can see same sort of thing, just throwing down some washes, picking out some highlights, trying to throw some contrasts in, and yeah, keep things loose.
Love that. Thank you. And I love how you've shown us some of your um sketches as well. We can I'm just gonna add myself right here so that you guys can see. So thank you so much, Jan. That was amazing
You're very
in less than
welcome.
an hour. And it was really inspiring to hear your story and how you were able to um make art and where you get your inspiration from. So thank you so much.
A real pleasure.
Now, everybody agrees. Really inspiring, great tutorial, very fun sketching along. Amazing. Okay. All right. So while Dan is also still finishing his works right here, feel free
Yep.
to watch Dan. I am just going to hold this paper right in front of the screen so that you know that I'm not cheating or anything. I've written down a number right here. So again, for the newcomers, all you need to do is to type in the number right here when I type the word go in the chat. So all you need to do is to guess in 15 seconds the number that I've written down here. And when I type the word stop, the only entries that are accepted will be the ones between go and stop. And again, only one winner. If you get the right answer, then you're the winner. The first one who gets it will be the winner. If nobody gets the right answer, then the first person who gets the closest to the number wins. So the range would be from 1 to 40. So 1240. You got it? Okay. How many guesses? Only one, please. One entry only. You guys are kind of betting on your chances, but
Yeah.
um, you'd like your perfect sketchbooks, never to have too many. All right, so we'll begin, and I'm gonna type the word go in 3, 2, 1, go. 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9. Ooh, a lot of entries. 6 and 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Stop. Awesome. All right. So while I'm browsing through all of these entries and deciding which one is the winner, Dan, do you have like any final words of inspiration or thoughts that you could share to our participants today?
I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you don't feel like you're on your own when you next sketch. And remember, we're all part of this growing community, and you can always reach out, but really just be kind on your sketching selves and don't sweat it. Just get out there, and the more literally the for every second that your brush pen or your pen is touching the surface, you are improving despite whatever you might think. So, yeah,
Love that. That was really inspiring. Thank you so much, Dan.
sure.
And I think I was able to get the winner. Um, so just to clarify, nobody got the exact number, but I see someone who has gotten the number closest to the number that I've written. So I'm going to reveal that once I have, can I actually pin this? Yep. Okay. I'm going to reveal the number first,
Drum
and the
roll.
number that I've written down is, oops, number 20. And the person who got the number closest is, I'm pinning that message right now, is Abba Aaron or Abaran. She so he or she typed in number 19. So congratulations,
Well
Abba
done.
Aaron. So yay. All you have to do is send us a message at hello@etchrlab.com so that you can claim your prize and talk about how we can send your perfect sketchbook. Perfect. um, Tomorrow I will go out for Urban Sketcher, very inspired by Dance's journey and amazing.
Glad to hear it. Thank you.
Right. So, with that being said, thank you so much, Dan, for this wonderful demonstration. And thank you everybody for sticking with us till the end. This has been such an amazing live stream, and we're pretty excited to see your works. Feel free to tag Dan. I'm gonna drop his Instagram one last time here
Oh
so that you
yeah,
guys don't miss.
exactly. I could
Um,
also, yeah, I could also give you this if you want to aim your things at the keyboard, at the screen, if you I wonder
Yes,
if the
I am
magic of
going
QR
to.
codes will work.
Oh, oh, actually, let me just remove my spotlight and put that on spotlight for a while.
Will that work?
There we
Oh
go.
yeah. Do
Amazing.
that. You should see
Um,
links to my previous stories and my Instagram and all the rest of it.
Thank you so much. All right.
Thank you
Um,
guys.
all right. Well, thank you so much, Dan. You've been such an amazing inspiration to everyone today. Um, and thank you, everybody. Been such an amazing audience. So, again, we are waiting to see your work. So feel free to tag us. Dan, do you have any final thoughts before we close the session?
Just keep sketching and don't be afraid uh, to strike confidently in your sketchbook, whatever size, shape, and level of perfection it might be. The beauty is in the doing.
Thank you so much, Dan. And thank you again, everybody, for being such an amazing audience. And until next time, everybody, make more art. Bye for now.
See you, everyone. Thanks again.
2, 1, and we are.